Jade Spooner, welcome back.
Hello, Happy New Year.
Yeah, a bit late, but we were meant to do a podcast a couple of days ago, but you came through.
Got my wisdom tooth out.
And went TikTok famous, didn't you?
And I went TikTok famous. Nah, not really. I got into it in December. I really like it. I just think it's a really good place just to like be yourself. So I got my wisdom tooth out last week. I posted a video of Matt left money under my pillow as the tooth fairy, told me the tooth fairy came. So I posted that and I think that got like 300,000 views or something. And then 7 News wrote an article about it. It was the funniest thing. And because they dig up old stuff as well, they were able to say like, entrepreneur has her, like they knew all this stuff. Matt's like, how do they know that? I'm like, they just research previous stuff that's out there. So
I think they call it Google.
Yes.
So today we're going to be talking about sort of goal setting. We're going to talk about personal goals and business goals, how to protect your business and some positive outlooks on business. So 2024, obviously everyone's super optimistic. And
how are you feeling?
I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel good. I think last year was kind of that reset year for us.
I felt like that personally as well. Like I felt like last year was the year of happiness, like, you know, finding personal happiness and balance and like enjoying life a little bit more. And then I feel like this year I feel really focused on the professional side of things.
Yeah, me too. Like same as you. Like I felt like we just needed like a year off to like chill, and it probably wasn't as ambitious or work ethic.
I felt that too. I was kind of reflecting on the way over here, thinking about, you know, what we're going to talk about today. And I thought that too. I thought, you know, the last year from a professional standpoint, I didn't smash goals. Like admittedly, did not smash goals. Am I the happiest I've ever been in my whole life? Yes. So I'm like, you know, I don't think the two can not go together. I definitely think they can go together. But I spent a real good year like enjoying the life that I'd built as opposed to like looking at what's next.
Yeah.
And it was such a good reset. I think it's the best thing I've ever done.
What is the balance for it? Is it like a work hard during the week, weekend off sort of balance? Is it crank for 2 years, have a year off sort of balance? Where do you see it?
I definitely think that the new business or, you know, ventures and things like that, I think they have to have their, you know, total investment phase but I just don't think you can go at that pace at all times. You know, I felt last year I was, you know, I'd started Big Appetite the year before, and then last year went out on my own, and that was sort of, you know, in the classic Kylie Jenner saying the year of realizing things. Like, you know, I knew that was the thing that needed to come next. And, you know, having a startup the previous year, I'm not going to lie, I felt kind of burnt out the coming into 2023. So I don't think you can go at that pace all the time, but I definitely think, you know, had I not worked so hard in the 8 years prior between Big Appetite and Evolution and stuff, I couldn't have afforded to have that sort of year, you know? So I mean, there's always a reason for everything in that regard.
Did it make you want to take more time off, or are you ready to get back into it?
So ready to get back into it. I remember like over Christmas, Matt and I did like a vision board, and, you know, launching Soundboard, launching We Change, they were like the first things before any of my other goals, like personal, you know, relationship, finance, all that kind of stuff. Before any of that, they were the two that just like stood out to me. Like, you know, 2 businesses got to be launched by the end of this year. And
we need to do this, and then everything else comes.
Yeah, totally.
I think if you are driven in the business world like we are and entrepreneurship, I don't think you should feel guilty for that as well. Like I know sometimes we can be mindless and ruthless and so goal driven and we forget everything else by the side. And I put up this quote yesterday where I said I used to think work mattered more than most until I looked up and I realized I didn't have anyone to share it with.
Yeah, so true.
it's trying to find that balance of that. But I find with us, we need to be working towards something.
Definitely.
Because it makes us a better partner, a better person outside of it.
Just fuller in general. And also too, like, I think the self-belief side of things, like if you know that you know, I think from a leadership perspective, you always know that you're a, you know, different kettle of fish. Like you feel that, and it's a matter of like utilizing that and bringing something to the world. Like if you have that gift, like go do something with it. And we're not getting any younger, you know, and I now being on TikTok and stuff, like I watch a lot of TikToks and there's a lot of people that say things along the lines of, you know, if I could go back, I'd tell myself this. And so many people would just say, go after it, you know, just go after it. Don't be afraid. Don't worry about what Joe Blow down the road is going to think. You know, post that story, post that TikTok, have zero care factor to what others, you know, want to think, and just focus on yourself and your own personal development. And I think that's the motto really, isn't it?
Yeah, I know a lot of businesses are very different and pathways are different, but do you think entrepreneurship's journey is very like linear? Like we all kind of follow a very similar path? Like things go really, really great, and then there's like a massive drop off, or there's a massive realization.
Yeah, I think especially like those early bloomers, like the people that start in like their 20s, and you creep around that 30s mark, and then the freak out happens, and then you look around and then you realize you're lonely. I feel like I hear this pattern a fair bit, and then even the step back to go forward and things like that. That concept keeps me grounded a lot, because I had a few points in the year last year, especially going through like the Evolution saga, where I was like, I should be here, and this should have been done, and that should have been, and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, dude, like in the grand scheme of your life, that is this. Like, it's just this little tiny dot. It's a moment in time, and it will pass. And I think, if you spend a year fueling your fire again to exert the following, like, so be it.
So say success comes in 10 times bigger than you've had it before. How do you regulate yourself to come back to the point where you're at right now? Or is that the price of success? Or
I don't think that happiness is something that comes and goes. I think it's kind of something that you find. And I personally feel like in my life, irrespective of if I had to work 20 hours tomorrow and the following day and for the rest of the year or not, I have found happiness. Maybe it was my relationship. Maybe it was, the connection I've reformed with my family after kind of, I was never like not in touch with them, but definitely was way too focused on work to the point where I didn't, have the connection that I've got now, being so close to them from a location perspective. Like I think that I've found happiness. So I think anything could come from like a work perspective, and I don't think it would sacrifice that happiness.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive into it. We're going to start with goal setting. Do you have a way that you goal set that's different, or how do you do it?
Yeah, I did this year. So this year, Matt and I did them together, and we just kind of, I had mine, he had his, and they just kind of fell under the same board type thing. So we made, in our office, we've got a big whiteboard, and we did like the old fashioned vision board where you stick it up. So printed out the pics and stuck it under categories. So the first category was business. Second category was travel. Third category was relationship, money, and then other goals. So then that's kind of how we categorized it.
Yeah. What's in the other goals?
The other goals were things like, there was a health one as well. Other goals were things like buy a new Range Rover, like that sort of, buy a boat. Like it kind of didn't fall under, it's not really a monetary goal as such. It's a buy a thing, and it just fell under other.
All right, cool. Yep. Do you want to open up on any of your sort of personal goals? Or?
Yeah. I'll touch on a couple from each category. So the business goals, launch WeTrained. That's a massive one to me. That's kind of been in the works for a couple of years. And
it's been there for a bit, eh?
It has, yeah. And I think my mindset with it all was have Evolution done and dusted, move into WeTrained. But now my perspective is like, don't wait for nobody. Like just go irrespective of anything that's going on in the background. So launch WeTrained, Soundboard as well, which is going to obviously, it's a bit of work on our part, but we've got this. Then also to relationship, Matt and I do like a really special date night a month, like just something that's really nice that we plan, and it's not just like go down the beach and have fish and chips. It's like just a nice activity sort of thing.
Yeah, it's thoughtful and got a bit of effort behind it.
Yeah, we've thought about it. We've kind of made a list of things that, we want to see, do, restaurants we want to go to and stuff. So we'd pick something like off the list.
Do you do an alternate, or do you guys share the ideas?
No, we share the ideas. We're usually pretty on the same page with all that stuff, so it's not like we've got like sort of different interests. Date night a month, and then also gratitude on date night. So when we go to date night, we have to say something that we're grateful for.
Is it hard some date nights?
No, it's been easy as. Like, I feel like I've got so much to be happy for. So that was good. And then personal, I put Mark Burris's podcast, be on Mark Burris's podcast. That's like something that like, it's like a personal kind of like business goal that is on my mind. Do
you want me to message him or no?
Do you? No, I want to.
Oh, you want it organic?
I want it organic.
Yeah.
I want to be on his radar. In another Forbes article of some sort, be in there. And then what else? Buy our first flip. So Matt and I, eventually we want to take Matt off the tools so he can like get his business acquired or something like that.
Yeah.
That's sort of on the cards for this year, and he would just focus on doing flips. So
sick.
I'd buy their house and he'd renovate it and everything, and run all the materials through his work and stuff, and then flip it.
Yeah.
So start to accumulate a couple of them. And then just a few like fun, buy this, buy that, and then travel too.
Travel's my big one.
Yeah, Maldives, Paris, Greece, and Italy we put.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
So personal wise, I think health's the big one, and I know everyone sort of leans into that towards the start of the year.
Yeah.
But I've just sort of reflected on like my health journey over the past couple of years, and like you said when you walked in, you're like, oh, is this your new thing at the moment?
Yeah.
I'm trying to move away from like I'm either all in or all out, and just very minimal and
I call it the 75 hard ice.
Yeah. I'm either in or out.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I think for the first time in ages, I've had like a monthly recurring revenue goal, probably since about 3-4 years ago.
That's a good idea.
Individually, I kind of just have to focus on 2 people, a business, and then back on myself. And like I sort of put it last night, and you've been encouraging me this, get into consulting.
Yeah.
But the big one is I want to make and I read this in Stephen Bartlett's book, I want to put a conscious effort towards learning and teaching.
Yeah, same.
That's a big one, like big, because I find whenever I do that, good things start to happen. And
I did his course over, he had a little...
me too, I done that too.
Did you as well? Oh yeah.
Was it like it was a random BBC or something?
Yeah.
I done that.
Yeah. We should have just bought the same one. No, I did that over Chrissy too. He's good.
Yeah, I love him. He's coming here next April.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So he'll be good to watch.
I did the same. I did a MRR for Soundboard, and I did one for WeTrain too.
Yeah,
musical.
And like the way I sort of see it now is like I sort of changed my idea on how I see business, and I think we gravitate towards the thing that we're most comfortable towards. And you go tech, I always go clothing, but I think those little subscription based newsletters, online courses, that type of module. When I think about what I used to do in the past and the types of numbers I used to do, I'm like, why didn't I just sort of stay there? That was a big one for me. But it's just a easier way to build a business. Yeah,
I agree. And also strengths too. Like there's something that I've learnt in my line of work doing consulting is that I'm really good at it. And that's the thing that you should do, is the thing that you're really good at. I couldn't go do other jobs, but I can do this really, really well. So why not just do it and capitalize on it?
With consulting, do you find you're saying sort of the most similar things across the board? Or does everyone have the same problems? That's probably the better question. I feel,
yes. Yeah. And also as well, the sort of the model that you and I have built out and the topics that we've covered are the most common. Like the ones for Soundboard that we've covered for the content, they're the ones that people struggle with the most, I feel.
How much is it knowledge versus accountability?
50-50.
Oh, okay.
I think there's a couple of founders that I work with. I've got like a few in mind that are just, they have so much potential, but they just won't do the work. But if someone's there telling them to do it, it gets done in a completely different manner. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
sure.
I feel like it's part parcel. Yeah.
So let's talk about, obviously people come in and listen about business advice. What's the types of business goals that other businesses should be setting leading in towards this year? And I know we're already a month into it, but January is almost like a write-off in the business world anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's a really good time to get ahead. Like I tried to pack away a bit of revenue this January to kind of just set the tone for the rest of the year. I think it's a really easy month just to kind of forget that it exists, but it's also a really good opportunity to just otherwise in classic business world, if you've got outgoings, you could spend February trying to catch up from January and so forth. So it's just a good time to get ahead in a certain way. I think breaking up your goals the same way that you break up business management is a really good tip. Looking at people and culture, like what are your team goals? And if you've got an actual physical office, like what are the goals to bring to each individual, managing the team, the actual office space itself. I've even told some of my clients to start small. Like if you are struggling to, build that culture within your team, is there, a wheel of fortune that you can do on a Friday where the team wins? That's something that my brother does in his real estate agency. They spin it, they get donations from or they might buy vouchers for restaurants in the local area and, things like that. And they spin the wheel of fortune, they win prizes on a Friday or something, just to bring a bit of buzz. Team lunches, planning that out, and, quarterly performance reviews, setting them in stone so people know what they've got to look forward to talk about their performance and remuneration and things like that too. So I think that's a good category.
For a little, but one thing we've done around the office, we sort of spoke about last year, was like we ended up getting rid of all the alcohol in our office. It just like that was kind of a reflection of who we were as a brand before, like YKTR
so
Sports,
true.
Gamble, we drink, we had that. But now with myself, Natasha and Corey, we've got workout goals. So we've got a little board in the office where you have to tick
That's cool.
if you've worked out. And then
who's the most competitive?
Probably me. Probably me. Yeah, I want to win. But then we've also flipped our whole beer fridge into, we got U-Foods that gets paid from the company.
Yeah.
I always got fruit in there as well.
I love that.
Drinks.
It's giving Google.
Like Focus. Yeah, and that was the idea. And I got the idea from Valentin Ozic, who runs a brand called I Love Ugly. And he went to Supreme. And
you've told me. Yeah.
And that was sort of the idea I got from it. I think at the time we were trying to be that sort of frat house vibe and look cool.
And at the time it worked.
Yeah, for sure.
At the time it worked. But, too, your market is probably growing up with you as well. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I think we haven't really been around for an era of seeing what the social media generation looks like in a life cycle. And I think for a lot of brands, like, they're starting to realize now what got you here won't get you there, and what worked for you back then isn't working for you right now.
For sure.
And it could be a matter of like needing to pivot. It could be a matter of, well, what does your customer look like now? Maybe you're not working with the same customer as you were back then. So it could be like, that could be happening to you too. Like you've grown up.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you can imagine, like if you've got, on the other side of your audience, you probably started with someone when they were single and now they're engaged and getting married, like that could be really the cycle that they're going through.
Yeah, I read this interesting thing the other day that like teenage kids now, they don't use emojis and stuff because their parents use emojis.
Yeah.
So they've got their own sort of version of that. So yeah, understanding like life cycle of a brand, and especially in fashion, like understanding where it's going is like, do you follow trends? Do you set your own trends?
Yeah.
And hopefully the market comes to you.
I see
just learning all that.
I see it with my younger brother now. We're 9 years apart. We're really, really close, him and I. But 9 years apart when you're 31, and then his age is like worlds apart, like literally worlds apart. He said something the other day. He's like, that slaps. And I was like, what? Like,
but you're still trying to stay hip, eh? So
yeah. And I'm like, and he just laughs at me. He thinks it's like we're literally centuries apart. I'm like, dude, it's 9 years. And
yeah, it is. We had that with Caleb too. And I remember Caleb used to get like a little bit upset because like, he really wanted to be tight with us and friends. And I'm like...
And then it's a big gap, isn't it?
Yeah, we're like I'm 32, 33 at the time. He's just turned 18.
18, yeah.
I was like, coming off us, but you need your own crew, your own age
He'll make us feel old one day. He'll be turning like 25, 26, and we'll be like, fuck, I remember when you were 18.
Yeah, it's crazy. What about businesses? So that was sort of on the positive front.
So that's sort of so categorically team, and then I'd have a goal in regards to like your product or service. Like, do you want to add an arm to it? Do you want to, if you've got an app, do you want to add features? If you've got clothing, do you want to add, if you do tees, do you want to add shorts? Like whatever the actual product is, I would have some goals around that.
And also the other way is around, like, do you want to take away? Like,
so true. Do you know, that's a really good point. I've been doing this and focusing on this with a couple of my clients at the moment, especially the new ones. Some of the new ones that come to me have like a suite of services. And I'm like, and you might get one that's just absolutely not performing, but it's there in the customer's view when they're deciding what to go with. And then you might have one that's overperforming. And in the like grand scheme of things, the 9 services with only 4 that are doing something is a big problem. Like cut at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're totally right. You can go back as well.
So if you get that one where that service is over delivering, do you just put all your time into that, or how do you scale that out?
And
just get more people
the thing is, what you got to look at is if that one is over delivering and it's performing really well, but it's not getting specific marketing airtime, you're just marketing as a brand and they're just coming to this one. Can you imagine like if the people were seeing this first and just were told to go straight there rather than making the decision and doing that for themselves, you'd get a much better result.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like backing the one horse sort of thing.
So when you do have a great product or service and you scale it out in a certain area, do you move to different areas, or like how do you scale that out even better?
I think to consider the customer journey, like, do you want to be a one-stop shop? Do you want a better customer experience? Like if they're coming to you for this and they love it, is it better for you to just stick to what you know, or are you kind of compromising on the customer experience by not giving, something else? Really good example in a small scale is I've got a business at the moment that I consult for, and she's launching a menstrual cup into the market. So that's menstrual cup. So this is going to enlighten you. So basically, you've got tampons, and then you've got pads, and then this is a cup that you insert, and it catches the blood.
So there's still blood that comes out.
Yeah, and then you pull it out. So she's launching that into the market. What she might do down the line, instead of just launching this, having just this one thing on the website, one thing only, she might have. God, this is so funny because this is so not your jam, your market.
There's a market there.
Period undies, heat packs. Like she might make like a little like ecosystem. So the woman that's coming there at that time of the month is well and truly catered for. So that's a really good example. Another one in a much grander scale is like Mad Paws, for example, which is a company an e-commerce brand that's doing exceptional. They kind of launched with like a kind of like an Uber. I think I wrote one of our articles on it, but they launched with like an Uber experience for pets. So they would connect walkers with pets that needed to be walked, which is really cool. But over time, they've just turned into this like massive like conglomerate, and they've acquired all these different businesses to create a pet lovers ecosystem. So they've got dog bowls, pet food supplies, but they've kept the brand, like the unique brands. They've just acquired them and they operate in their own right, but they're covering the base.
Yeah, so umbrella company,
big
all
umbrella.
The boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's smart. I was listening to a podcast the other day and it was talking about, actually my friend who started breeding golden retrievers, he's always done it, and he was telling me how much money they spend on supplements for the puppies and stuff at the start. And brain just goes ting.
You're like, subscription model.
Yeah. So, and I was thinking
every
about
30
that.
days.
And then the podcast that I listened to, one of his ideas was to build the AG1 of supplements for dogs in the morning so they could taste it.
Do you know there's a really cool upcoming brand? Do you remember Tori that used to work up at Equilition with us?
She's doing well, I messaged her the other day.
Yeah, she's cool. Tori's girlfriend launched a brand called Lyca, LY.
I know the brand.
Have you seen it? Have you seen? Yeah, really cool. But they do dog supplements, like good for you supplements. I got Sassy the anxiety and stress one. Because as we know, my anxious little freak.
Yeah.
But
I can still hear her bark in the back of my head.
Yeah, I know.
No, and it's the thing, like it's the market. Like I was thinking, Mello cut at the top of his eye the other day.
Oh, did he?
He's alright, just a bit of a graze. But I remember going to the vet, and I'm just like sitting there, like they're gonna sting me, but I'm gonna pay it anyway because it's my dog.
100%. The classic example, Sassy's $30,000 leg. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I remember that.
Actually, her pet insurance that renews annually, every January. That's $1,200.
Yeah.
It's like you don't really flinch because it's.
What's today tonight? Oh shit!
Girl.
It's Mello's. Thanks for reminding me. It's Mello's.
Worming and.
Nah, his insurance is up today.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get that.
Better get him on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so I think going back to what we were saying, looking at your product and service, I think is a good way to create some goals there. And then revenue as well. I think revenue goals is super important.
The menstrual cup one's interesting, isn't it?
It is. I think it's an upcoming market, especially because people are becoming so much more environmentally conscious. And, I encourage all of I'm not a massive like woo-woo kind of girl when it comes to the environment, and I eat animals. I'm not vegan or anything along those lines, but I do.
Plastic bottle.
Yeah. But I'm not super great with all of that kind of stuff in terms of like reducing my carbon footprint, but it's definitely something that even as someone that's not super consumed with it is becoming more conscious. And I'm just like a fraction of them. I'm just the ordinary person, So there's people that are spending their days trying to think about how they can reduce their carbon footprint. So it just goes to show that everyone's conscious in some way. So if businesses were not moving in this direction, they'd be silly.
Yeah, it's like one of my mentors in the clothing space, he said it's just good health for your business to constantly trying to improve and be more sustainable.
I totally agree.
And especially in our industry and fabric, like clothing, like a lot of wastage goes up in the air too.
Do you get questions about?
We used to, early on we did, but probably not so much anymore. I think we're pivoting into the female market like quite heavily soon. So I think that will bring more questions asked, to be honest. Girls girls are just naturally more inquisitive.
What are you doing to?
Well, our stereotypical customer for YKTR is probably just a knockabout bloke that drinks beer at the pub.
I think Pip Edwards is doing some good things in that space as well. I think she always has. She's always very transparent on her website. Like I know they had an affiliation with iChange, so you make a purchase and they donate like $1 from every sale.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, like all that kind of stuff. And I noticed that they've got like a whole sustainability section on their website now too. So she's always really like front forward with that sort of stuff.
You kind of have
front
to be.
foot.
Yeah, it's kind
Definitely.
of. I think guy from Patagonia. I think he's donating
yes,
all his profits to climate change. Maybe.
Yeah, once he's already a billionaire. So
yeah, let's get to that Billy first, and you'll be all right.
Get to the Billy, and then you start handing your church change out.
What about the other way? Have we done protect your business, or was just we were kind of on dogs and menstrual cups just then?
No, we were goals, and then we're talking goals.
Positive things for your business.
Yeah.
What about like protecting your business?
Protecting it.
Because I feel like you roll into the new year, even though it's not the financial year or business year, like it's still a new year and you start thinking again.
Yeah. I think a really good way to protect your business is reflect on previous year and ask yourself if anything went dramatically wrong. Like if there were any loopholes in like a manufacturer agreement or something like that you learnt from, maybe you can, create new agreements, sign new agreements and stuff to protect yourself from that the following year. Same with employment agreements too, like non-compete's a massive one that always kind of arises. Like
if I had my time again, I would have had some non-competes and NDAs put right in place straight away.
Yeah, non-competes and NDAs. I think they're two like major ones.
Yeah. That was a big one. Like when I built YKTR Sports out, I always just thought, this is going to go great. This is going to be like, I was super optimistic. I didn't ask the question of like, if it goes wrong, what will put me out of business? And one of the main ones was like people taking talent.
When you think about protecting your business, I think that's a really good question to start with. What could go wrong, basically? So, for example, in the tech space, data leaks. Like, are you secure? We've had our database at Evolution like years and years ago. The meal database was hacked, and this is before things got really tight. Like, technology is a lot better than when we like first started, but even in the tech front, like data leaks and stuff can happen.
That's scary, eh?
Yeah, that's super scary. People go in there. So this hacker went in and deleted things. So that's really, and like fortunately our team had like a backup server and everything like that. So it wasn't anything to do with our customers. It was to do with the database. So that was someone like, that's like a direct sabotage, which is really crazy. So in tech, that can happen too.
Oh, I wouldn't even have thought of that.
And then if you've got like customer information, like privacy leaks and things like that, even email marketing, there were so many disasters last year where, emails were sent and everyone was CC'd in. Have you seen those? Like, sorry if you got that last email where like our whole, we protect your privacy and all this stuff. Like it's big, people take that stuff really seriously. That can damage a brand.
I think one mental model that I heard the other day, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and if you're a founder of a business and you got staff, like mentally remove that, like each staff member from your organization. Yeah. Like if they left the company.
Yeah, protect make sure that you can function without anyone.
them, or do you actually even need them? Like across the board, like I'm looking at Nike, I'm looking at a lot of big brands, they're doing big layoffs at the moment, and that usually from those big companies, that sort of filters down into the smaller companies.
Are you noticing economically that people are just not spending as much?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's still a hangover from like 2020 to 2022 where COVID and everyone's got a lot of money, a lot of people time on their hands, people wanting to do alternative things.
Yeah.
And it's happening across the board, especially in e-commerce and especially in clothing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I started something else in COVID. I started consulting then, and that was obviously a great thing. Like that's my livelihood now, and I gained a lot of experience. But when people had a real appetite for spending, I wish I just kind of found something e-com wise and.
Yeah, even drop shipping, like if you could found like a product that was
taking off, because people were spending all their days like on social media and looking at ads and seeing consumer based stuff and had nothing else to spend it on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, do you even remember going into grocery stores and stuff and there was like just the canned food? Do you remember those days?
It was a weird time, wasn't it?
It was bloody weird, but like now looking back, very opportunistic. Very opportunistic.
I think there was one time, like as a brand, we were looking at like face masks, and we were like, "How quick can we get a bunch of face masks here?"
Did you do it?
Yeah, we done face masks, but like it was too like everyone was on that train. Everyone's on that train.
COVID tests and stuff. There was actually
hand sanitizers.
Yeah, that's right. I remember there was actually I saw recently there was a big scandal. I couldn't tell you the name of the couple, but someone in government, I think over in the UK, they had signed a contract. She had signed her husband a contract for like a $60 million deal or something like that, and they later found out that it was her husband. It was for lab coats and stuff.
Yep.
And they later found out that it was her husband, and he in fact profited like 40 of the 60 million. Like, it was crazy.
It's crazy how people think they can get away with that stuff.
Yeah, I know.
And have the balls to even try.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like that Sam, what's the crypto guy? Sam
Bankman.
Yeah, like, wow, that is crazy.
I had heaps of money.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you lose any? Like,
yeah, I lost heaps. I pulled it out.
What's your...
Is it realised gains? Is it unrealised gains or whatever it's called?
Do you still have money in crypto and stuff now, or you pulled it out?
I will though. Like, once money come, I will start splitting across shares and crypto again.
Yeah.
I still believe in it. But like, same thing, I was caught up in the hype, and a lot of people were asking me about advice, so I felt like I had to have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
So I think
What's your opinion of it now?
It's very cyclical, so it does like those sort of 4-year cycles. It's kind of heading into that 4th year where it normally grows. But in saying that, I'll just buy basics like Bitcoin, Ethereum.
I'm going to get a few properties this year, I think. Just my brother's started to do this, and he flips, and my brother's a real estate, he owns an agency, but he's a plumber by trade. Like, that was his first ever job, so he can kind of do both. Like, he's renovated his bathrooms and sold the house at the end, like that, the full life cycle sort of thing. And looking at Matt and I and the complement between the two of us, I think it makes like utter sense. That's what I hope we'll do this year. And
I think I'm not too sure what the laws are tax wise in this country, but like having real estate, especially because tax is always going to be your biggest expense in this country. So I think in America, in San Francisco, if they get a tech guy and he's worth heaps of money and he gets married, he gets quit your job and you're a real estate agent, or you're in that sort of space now, because you can buy in and write it off somehow. So I don't know what the tax laws are like here, but there's definitely something in it.
I know you can also do,
because tax laws benefit real estate and business people. Yeah,
you can also buy through like your super and stuff too. There's like a lot of different loopholes and stuff. So I think that'll be a good space to delve. I've never had an interest, to be honest, until this year. Yeah.
I'm more. Actually, I won't talk about it. Secret.
Next time.
Quick Q&A section. Thanks for people that come through. We got three questions here. First question: how to revive a dying business? I haven't posted anything in 6 months.
I think I heard a really good quote from Mel Robbins. She's fab.
Do you like her voice, tone of voice?
Yeah, I think she's so motivating. Like, I think
is she a New York chick or?
I don't know. I know that accent. It
was weird. She was on. I was in a sauna the other day, and her podcast come on. I'm just like,
she did a really good ep with Stephen Bartlett as well. She did a great quote at the start of the year. You know, like it's the new year, and we're all looking for the next resolution. Like, what can we start? What can we start? But what can we continue to do? Like, why are we always trying to make everything like so overcomplicated? Why can't we keep it simplistic? Why can't we continue to do what has worked really well for us? You know, why can't we just, continue to do the things that we know that we can do really well and keep doing them better, rather than try and introduce all these new things. And by February, you're not doing your 30 minutes of meditation in the morning and your ice bath in the evening and all this kind of stuff. Like, that was the general consensus of what she was saying. And I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. I'm just trying to revive a dying bit. My first question was like, why'd you stop in the first place? Like, does it actually like serve that person anymore? And like, I've started businesses, and one stuff that's done well, and I don't know, sometimes there was an element of imposter syndrome there. There's an element of, I wanted to try shiny object syndrome is probably something I'm very guilty of. And I'm like, let's just start this and start moving that way. Yeah, I don't know. I think the internal question you should ask yourself, why did you stop in the first place?
Yeah,
and
true.
Do you actually want to continue in this business? Yeah,
and then going off what I was saying earlier, like looking back at what did work for you, and just even starting small, like starting with the basics, like showing up on Instagram, maybe it might even be you revisit everything as a whole, and can you come back out new? Like, I think if you can do a rebrand, or
even just an honest message, eh? Like,
hey,
I was like,
hey,
going through a bit.
we had problems with our manufacturer, or we did this or we did that, we changed this, we changed that, whatever the honest truth might be, that usually conveys quite well. Say that and come back. Like,
it's not meant to be a marketing tactic, but I think vulnerability is
I think it works.
good way to work. Yeah.
Yeah. I also think reinventions work really well too. So if you can come out with like new website, new look, new feel, new experience, maybe you listen to feedback, take, get your 5 customers or something that you worked with in the previous year, ask them what they loved, grow on those things, ask them what can be improved, change those things, say you asked, we listened, and this is the new version of us.
Yeah, I think that's a good way. There's probably a better way to do it. So first, internally understand why you stopped, and if you're excited to start again, think of a way that you could repackage the comeback.
Yeah,
and I think G'd Up done a great version of that a couple of years ago, where Paco was out of his business and had enough with it, and he was dealing with court issues and stuff like that, and he just said like, "We're back." Like I needed to take time off. Hey, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We're back, and then zoned in and they took off. So,
love that.
Yeah, repackage the comeback was a good way to market it.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part about starting off a business from nothing?
I think just like the step by step, like just knowing what comes first. And sometimes it's a little bit chicken before the egg, but I think I always kind of follow like a bit of a framework. Like I kind of always...
I like frameworks now as I've got more into business.
Yeah. I think just starting off with like branding, offer, then website, then your social media tactics, then your email marketing tactics. Like that's the sort of flow that I use. But I think that is often the hardest thing. It's like, where the hell do I start? I think you just got to start. And it really depends on the business too, because if you're offering a service, I would say start with the customer. Just service people. When I first started...
For free?
It depends where you're coming from. Like when I first started consulting, I wasn't... I wasn't consulting for free, but I was a lot lower rate than I am now, because I still had experience. Like I knew what I was doing. I wasn't just like flying blind, but it was definitely the early days in that career, Just start working with people, get feedback, tweak how you do things, find your groove, find a framework that works for you. But then if you're obviously doing product, then you'll have to source the product, test the product, get people to wear the product, get feedback.
But always be mindful of product. Like I know it seems like an exciting way to start a business, and especially like clothing. It's like, oh, you make clothes, which is so cool. But the process of getting that done from sampling, from how you pay it, from taxes, from import, export, it's quite a lengthy process, and it takes a lot of fuck ups to get good at it. So
So I think just starting is like the best foot in the door that you can give yourself. Is just...
We talk about product to market fit a lot, and I think if you can build your market first and add the product a little bit later, I think that's a great way to do it.
Yeah,
probably my advice on this would just be double down on education and understand probably who's the main person in your field that's the best at what you're doing, but not so go to the top and then have like tears down of people that are someone who might be doing 500k or 1,000,000, say it's in the clothing space. Like understand him, study him, see what they're doing, see what their website's doing, see what's selling, see what's in the sales section and not working as well. So I think having different tiers of like, that's the dream person that I want to be in this industry.
Kind of like,
and there's someone who's just in front of me.
It's like, looking at like G'd Up and then looking at like South Street and then, like looking at the different levels and and then I'm sure there's like a just started down in the third tier as well. So it's like looking at the different levels and being like, what differentiates them and what do I love about what they're all doing and things like that.
Yeah, and like I know I think copying early is a great way to do things, but then making it your own. That's a definitely. Big one. There's a saying that like it's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy the right cat.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when you are copying, especially early on, it's okay to be like honest about it. Just like, hey, we're learning. These are the guys that we're inspired by. That's the sort of terminology they're using in clothing, or reference point was X. And then over time, and I think especially like in this space, clothing, everyone does it. Some people are more upfront about it than others.
Who have you got your eye on at the moment? Is
I'm more so looking at business models. Yeah. So I don't think there's a market here in Australia for that mid-tier. So like a lot of people want designer, or then it's like Uniqlo cheaper.
True.
So that sort of middle ground is no man's land at the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think we're not really looking for it because we've got enough data to go, this is what works, this is what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And just keeping it as simple as possible. The best businesses are simple.
True. Speaking of South Street, I love them.
Who are they? I don't know.
You haven't heard of them?
No.
Oh, it's just a really cool, like, they're from Melbourne. It's like a streetwear brand.
Yep.
But just funky stuff, just cool things. Kind of like, I'm not going to say cross between because they're their own, but it's just.
But you can see the reference points.
Yeah, I can kind of see what the style. You know, if you like this style, you like that style, sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
They're really cool.
Yeah. Last question. Thoughts on providing AI as a business model to make businesses more efficient, automating?
Like, it's a very broad question.
Yeah.
My thoughts are
Customer service would be an easy one to start with.
Yeah, definitely. But also to I wouldn't go putting a lot of money into developing anything that you could maybe test with like an off the shelf solution first. Like if there's like a product out there, like say, you know, for example, in customer service, I know that Intercom is a chat system that you can integrate onto websites. So when people pop up and say like, hey, what's the sizing like for this? It can give you an automated response based on like keywords and stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go building your own system
No
if
way.
Intercom exists. Just try something out first and see if it works for your business.
Yeah, I think rolling off the back of that conversation there is like targeting businesses that say they've got founders that are between maybe 40 to 60 years old, potentially don't have a website that you could build straight away, or that you could build straight away, but also that customer service base and going into their frequently asked questions and sort of just copying that and building it out for them, and then charging them a monthly retainer. So if you can charge someone like $500 and you get 10 of those, there's $5,000 for just the build out and then the maintenance of the service. I think it's a great way to do it.
Yeah, I think so too. And then I think look at the areas of your business that you need to automate and see, you know, what's available from an AI front that could, you know, plug into that area. You know, if I don't know, if you need your customer service automated, go there first. If you need even just like auto responses on social media, see if there's anything there, you know, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, any way you can limit friction, I think that's where AI is great. I heard Alex Hormozi say that he went to all his staff and he goes, you've got 2 weeks. I want you to find the AI program or software that will put you out of your own job.
That's smart.
Yeah, and he goes, I'm not going to fire you, but I just want you guys to learn that you can do stuff a bit more efficient. And then say someone's on, say you're paying them a wage of, say, $60,000 and they're doing this amount of output. With that same $60,000, they can do triple the output. It's more beneficial for you as a business owner.
Yeah, I agree.
And they'll probably do it in a quicker time too.
Yeah, I agree. Your 2024 goals?
Health ones. I've got a monthly recurring revenue goal.
Yeah.
I really want to get back into podcasting and be big in this space by providing the most value and helping the most people. I think that's where I get my biggest kick out of.
Yeah.
And just get YKTR. We've got revenue goals for YKTR this year and the next couple of years too. Yeah, cool. So it's probably the first time in a while that I've had like clear goals. They're on my wall in my office. I read them every day, and I don't know, they're starting to feel like a little bit more real. Yeah. I've never done a vision board, but I want to. Yeah, it's a really good. I'll send you a pic of mine when I get home. Yes. Yeah. All right. We're about to do another episode anyway, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for jumping on. Thanks.